into the ecosystem. And we're flat on the ground. Flat on the ground.
Holy fuck!
You are the absolute worst. Now he's dropped from a height. Roll him over. There we go.
Jesus! Welcome, Ben. Welcome, everybody, to this week's Sharp Stories. This is week 2 of Ben Back, so we're getting a little bit back into the swing of normality. Today, we're talking about the positives of this fluctuating market and why it's a good thing, because it is. And these are the reasons why, right up next.
Anyone who's been watching us, knows that we are an overpouring jar of positivity
1,000%
when it comes to life. And so this...
It's a goddamn inchworm.
I don't need to know
Seen one of those in a while.
about your thing.
No, keep going.
You've seen one of those. Anyway, overwhelming abundance of positivity here. Why the market is changing now is actually a good thing. I mean, a lot of people talking for the longest time, the market being busy. As a seller, your property has gone up so much, fantastic, yeah, we're making money, so on and so forth. But long-term wise, it doesn't actually have a positive effect on the market, especially when you get to prices really like they've got to now. If they were to keep on rising, it just
Breaking point, if you will.
Yeah, good point.
Bubbling over, if you will.
Yeah, getting beyond a breaking point just causes absolute pandemonium and chaos. So these changes in which they're bringing in, and dare I say it, the change in interest rates that they're bringing in.
I've been saying for 6 months. The reason it went up, now the reason it's going down
is
not
actually
your supply argument. But anyway, sorry, continue.
That's a whole other conversation about the supply argument. It's actually a positive, even though it came a bit too late, because it's slowing things down. This is good from a standpoint as just the process in buying and selling itself being more enjoyable, all the way up into an investment and an economic standpoint that comes with the real estate industry. So let's start with the entry-level side of things on one scale. As a first-time home buyer, it's very, very nervy getting into the business or getting into the game for your first time overall. It's probably the most amount of money you've ever spent on one thing. It may well be the most amount of money you ever spend on one thing in terms of real estate overall. You want to add something, Jay?
Probably the shortest amount of time you also have to spend such a great amount of money on one thing in your life.
Exactly. And so naturally, when a first-time home buyer gets involved in the market, they want to be able to have a look around. They want to be able to make sure that they feel comfortable with the property, do their inspections, look at documents, go through their financing, so on and so forth. And they want to have the benefit and the safety of some subjects. A lot of first-time home buyers, it takes them a while to get into it mentally because it is quite a step. It's quite a daunting process for even some seasoned buyers, let alone first time. When you're looking at this kind of market, not only are you taking that extremely stressful time and you are condensing it and saying, hey, so we're looking at this, and also I need you to put forward an offer that's $75,000 more than the asking price. I also need you to not have subjects on here. Oh well, I shouldn't say that. Not also needing you, but recommending, because of the way the market is, them kind of being forced to basically condense all of that very brief period of time, even smaller, into like a matter of days. That, in my opinion, I don't feel is fair. I feel as a first-time home buyer, you should have the ability to go through the process as it should be gone through. You look at places, you get to then write an offer, you have your subjects you get to work through. Understand the feel of the process in order to feel comfortable about it.
And even in the higher level, I mean, we saw multiple offers, millions, 2 millions, 3 million ranges. Although everyone wants to focus on the entry because the entry is such a bar, a high bar to jump through. Those buyers, I mean, are still going through that, but just with an inflated price. So if you're buying something at 3 million, 4 million for a house, I mean, yeah, it'd also be nice to have those subjects, have that that time to get your finances done, have those inspections. So I think on all levels, it definitely helps, and it's very welcomed on all levels of buyers, and it leads into our next point, which is, I think, a very healthy change that every market goes through, and I, for one, am welcoming it here. to the Vancouver market now.
Well, and then I think on the other side of things, which I mean, this can happen on any priced home, but I think we're going to see it happen on the larger priced home because the gaps are so different. When it's all going up and people are stretching and homes are selling at record amounts, it all seems good on the surface. But what happens when people have overstretched, when interest rates do change, when pricing is going up, when your monthly payments a month, you start seeing people default, then people start looking at, well, can I sell the property? And it just causes this almost like volcano of issues that people can very easily, unfortunately, see themselves getting in, or we can see them getting into such a debt-ridden place in life and just being a victim to this. And there's already studies coming out now, multiple studies of people saying that they're feeling buyer's remorse for properties they bought. And you're feeling remorse for properties you bought, you're stuck in it. If you were to sell it, it's going to be less. Interest rates are going up. For it to continue doing so is just going to create more and more and more of that. And then there's the obvious as well. That barrier to entry for all levels then becomes a lot harder for everyone.
For sure, and the biggest part of that is the bigger percentage. We all know the bank will give you more than you're typically comfortable taking. And some people will take all of it, and others will take a fraction of that. But the more things go up, with either rates or pricing, obviously, the more out of your monthly financial nut, if you will, comes just the payment of the house, which is now we have to make a decision on vacations. Now we have to make a decision on everything else lifestyle wise. So I think the cooling is going to pull away from that day-to-day, month-to-month pressure from families at, again, all price levels and really be welcomed. Okay.
No. I think more steadiness comes into the market as well when you look at these types of things, because real estate as a whole has always been more of a safer haven investment, if you will, for whether it comes to tax write-offs and so on and so forth. But no one's going to pick up your real estate and run. It's not going to be typically subject to changes in the same way that the stock market will, or gold, for example, or crypto. So when the market seems to change like that, it brings more steadiness to the market, and I think it then brings more confidence and more calm to it as well. With it flying so high, we've seen this tons of times. People take more of a lottery gamble on real estate because they're thinking, oh, well, the market's always going up, so I'm going to buy this even if it's overpriced because I'm going to be able to sell it next year for 10% more, or 15 or 20%, or some people even looking at 30 or 40% more, even though it's just gone up 30, 40%. And it reminds people that real estate is not a short-term investment. Like, it's not something that you're going to buy 1 year, maybe sell in a year or two, and you can guarantee yourself some profits. Sometimes it could happen, and I mean, if you're doing a full renovation, then it's a little bit different, but it's typically a more longer-term investment, and with that longer-term investment comes more kind of sound and steady movements in an industry, which we've not seen. We've seen the complete opposite, obviously just this for the last X amount of years, 2 years, say.
Yeah, and I think it's a safe haven long-term looking. Into your exact point, people have started to shorten their time horizon on it, which gives it typically a lot more pressure in their day-to-day or month-to-month. But I think as rates have gone down and prices have gone up year over year for the last couple handfuls of years, people's time horizon for real estate has just shrunk because they've got that peace of mind that it always goes up. It's not it's looked at more as a commodity that does always go up, and we'll just flip to the next one and the next one and the next one. But I think these changes, I believe, are welcome because they bring people back down to the reality that it is, in fact, a cyclical market and cycle, and what goes up does come down. Now, there's a lot of outside influences to that, namely, we don't need to go into it, but things we've discussed weeks past. But it is a market, and it will go down. It's not going to go up forever. And I think that reality is what people need to really understand it as an investment, understand it as a long-term play, which I believe it should be, not a quick day trading commodity, if you will, and something that they can look at just giving themselves more stability. What am I worth on paper this year? What am I worth on paper last year? Oh my God, it doesn't matter in the scheme of things if you're looking longer term, so it brings a lot of the stress down, and it gives people more consistent view of it as a home first and an investment second, not the other way around, which gets us into speculation and all that other stuff that can be, of course, extreme negatives on the market. So personally, I'm welcoming. I'm part of the market. am there and I see asset prices go up and down in my neighborhood and others, and that's great. It's a market and I understand that, but I'm welcoming this softening because I think it's the reality check that a lot of people need to look at it as just that. Housing first, investment, commodity, whatever you want to call it, second. So that's my 2 cents on it there. And what a perfect little place to end.
To end our learned knowledge to everyone.
That's it. Perfect.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
How much would I have to pay you to jump in?
No.
No, that's not an answer. How much?
No.
How much?
Entirely too risky. You can't afford it.